Yeah, some big news today about the Cybertruck, and also we got a lot of price cuts. So lots of important news today. Let's go through everything. This is massive news. Look at all these Cybertruck castings. We have a lot of front and rear castings. This clearly signals that Tesla is entering actual production of the Cybertruck. Tesla just made a lot of price cuts. Model 3 got cut, Model Y got cut, and also Megapacks got cut as well. Two Model 3 trims got cut by $1,250, and the performance version got cut by $2,250. The Model Y long range and the performance each got cut by $2,000. The rear-wheel drive Model Y did not get cut. Model Y long range and performance trims are now at all-time lows. What is interesting though is that Teslas in Canada did not get cut, and we know that Tesla just started importing vehicles from the US to Canada. So this is interesting. Here you can see how prices changed this year, and the Model Y long range in the beginning of the year was almost $66,000. Now you can get one for $48,500. And on top of that, you can now also get a $7,500 EV tax credit in the US. It's a good deal. Tesla also dropped the Megapack prices by about $10,000, so less by than 1%. As I am recording this, the stock actually is not really down much, but that's also partially because the markets are up. What have I been telling all of you guys over and over again? I expect Tesla to keep cutting prices in the future many more times. So this to me is not a surprise at all. I modeled Tesla stock until 2033, and it would be absolutely mind-bogglingly stunning to see no price cuts ever again on Model 3s and Model Ys. I expect many more. My expected average selling price of each Tesla vehicle in 2033 may surprise many. You may check that out on Patreon by clicking on the link down below. And here's some really good Tesla news. Tesla expects production at its lithium refinery in Texas to start sooner than expected, according to Tesla's senior manager of operations. We will begin commissioning the assets roughly the first of next year, and that will continue in earnest over the first half of next year. He said they will start ramping up production the latter half of next year. After many Giga Berlin delays earlier and then Giga Mexico delays, I think this is refreshing. Tesla has asked for infrastructure to be built in the northern Mexican state where the car maker plans to construct a new automotive plant, the state's government said on Thursday. Reuters is also reporting that Tesla factory permits are almost ready in Mexico. Specifically, they could be ready in weeks. The economy minister said in an interview that the automaker is considering a bigger plant than originally envisaged, and that we are still working on the design and architecture as well as engineering plans. That makes sense because Elon wants to build the $25,000 car in Austin first, so naturally I think there's not all that much rush here to build out something that may not be perfect later. And the economy minister basically is saying that he would be expecting the start of construction to actually begin in a couple of weeks, or at least that's when all of the permits would be ready. And he specifically states that it wouldn't be more than a month, so maximum a month, he says. All right, well, we'll come back in a month and we'll see. Kathy Wood sold Tesla stock just now again, at roughly the same amount. Obviously, Tesla stock is still her number one position in almost every fund except in this one. And there's a pretty good comment here. Remember, even if Tesla price stayed flat every day for a year while the other stocks in the ETF fund dropped massively, Tesla's percentage of portfolio would still increase. You know, Alexandra, who used to manage two giant funds in Europe earlier, says, and she would trim it. That's exactly what happened in the last 2.5 years. Tesla performance since February 2021, flat. ARKK performance since February 2021, minus 75%. Roku and Zoom since February 2021, minus 85%. And here you can see by how much the total number of shares that ARK Invest owns went down. It went down by quite a bit. This is already split adjusted, I believe, because you don't see a one-day sudden drop anywhere here. Alexander explains that the 10% is not a limit imposed by the prospectus, but a self-imposed internal rule. So in theory, they could own a bit more Tesla stock than they do right now. My best assumption, she says, is that it is a promise to their institutional investors, which hold at some moments half of ARKK. Oh, wow. Look at these institutional investors in ARKK and ARK Invest. It's a large number, and it makes sense for that number to go up as the ETF goes up, but as it went down, they still stayed. Just to be clear, I like Cathie Wood quite a bit, and what she says about Tesla stock and Tesla as a company often makes a lot of sense. And if you look at other fund managers, for example, at Meet Kevin, 27.8% of his ETF is Tesla stock. Oh, wow. $400 million worth of Tesla mega packs were spotted at the Lathrop mega factory preparing for export. I think the Tesla energy business is underappreciated. You can see what I mean in my valuation model. A quick update on the Giga water loop that Tesla is building. Drive Tesla Canada says that speculations are that it could be a water recycling facility for battery production. However, Tesla CEO Elon Musk had earlier mentioned an interesting project which he said would include a boardwalk, hiking and biking trails, and access to a stream. It was a project to turn Tesla's Giga Texas campus into an ecological paradise that would be open to the public. So I think that's actually quite likely. Tesla has submitted an application requesting an extension of a previous grant of confidential treatment for information it excluded from the exhibits to a Form 10Q filed on August 7th, 2015. This basically means that Tesla wants to keep this thing secret that they have been keeping secret from us since 2015. I really want to know what that is. It will probably take many more years to find out what this is all about. Oh, finally! The first Tesla V4 supercharger station in North America is under construction in Oregon. Tesla has dropped the discount amount a Model Y, 3, or X, or S buyer gets when using a referral code to $250 down from $500 in the US. And this comes just 1 month after they dropped it to $500 from up to $1,000. Now, they also did it in Canada, so the price drops were only in the US and not in Canada, but the referral change is also in Canada. So overall, I wouldn't be too surprised if Tesla dropped prices further in Canada as well soon. In other words, if I was a Canadian who wanted to buy a Tesla, maybe I would wait for a little bit just to see if Tesla drops prices further in maybe a week or two. This is still as expected. Fremont is building the regular non-Highland Model 3. I would want to hear directly from Tesla management, why didn't they launch a refreshed Model 3 at once everywhere? Because on the surface, this doesn't seem like a great decision, but maybe they do have a pretty good reason. Turkey just reported Tesla sales for September, and it is the best month ever so far. Seems like people in Turkey actually really like Teslas. I mean, this number is now somewhat significant. It could be just pent-up demand, but we'll see if this continues. If it does, this is pretty good news. Morgan Stanley reiterated yesterday their $400 Tesla stock price target, which is as high as $550 in their bull case. It still remains their top pick. However, this was before Tesla cut prices again. And now the Model Y has replaced the Model 3 on the homepage on Tesla's website. It makes sense in the US because the Model 3 is getting refreshed. So yeah, I don't see anything surprising here. I also checked a few countries in Europe, and interestingly, it is the same for Europe as well. The Model Y is at the top and the Model 3 is not. For the time being, this also makes sense because you can't really get the Model 3 delivered immediately yet. And I think that demand exceeds supply of the refreshed Model 3 for sure for now. We now know that Hyundai is going to be using Tesla's charging standard as well, but what's interesting is that they are using this photo to promote this announcement. If you look closely here, is this thing plugged in? I don't think so. Well, I also do have to say that as a businessman, I like speed. So yeah, they just got it done quickly. All right, no one's gonna care about that anyway, really. So many different automakers have already committed to using the Tesla charging standard, but there are still quite a few left. It appears that Toyota is actually giving it a try, and it is actually trying to build some EVs. Toyota and LG Energy Solution partner on this $3 billion EV battery plant in the US. Here's something I didn't quite know. I ordered a Model S, says Jeff, the week of price cuts and receipt in October delivery date. The price cuts were too late in the quarter for most to take delivery. So if we don't see significant increases in Model S and X deliveries this quarter, that would indicate that the price cut did not work. But based on what Jeff is saying here, possibly it could actually work. We know that Tesla mostly eliminated the delivery wave in Europe, but Troy says that the sales flattened, and this chart shows it very well. You can see that actually they declined by a little bit, but that was mostly because of the refresh Model 3 launch. And Troy said that Europe does not look good for Tesla. Europe is strong this year compared to last year, but sales have flattened. However, a strong Q4 would change the outlook to positive. Let's see what happens. If we get enough refresh Model 3s in Europe, I think we will have a strong record quarter in Europe. So it will all depend on how quickly can Tesla make these refreshed Model 3s. But also, I have one more concern. The Model Y got refreshed in China, but did it get refreshed in, well, partially refreshed in Europe as well, where it is made in Giga Berlin? If they haven't made that change in Giga Berlin, then can Tesla really export vehicles from Giga Shanghai to Europe? I mean, the partially updated one is obviously slightly better because it also reduces noise, vibration, and harshness. So if I lived in Europe and I was going to buy a Model Y, I would actually wait for a little bit longer until I can get the updated Model Y. Oh, look at that camera rig. They are definitely shooting some promotional videos for Cybertruck. A truckload of Tesla Model Ys caught fire in Turkey. However, the reason for the fire is still unknown, but there does seem to be a good possibility that the fire originated from one of the Tesla Model Ys. There is speculation here that the vehicle battery may have been damaged during loading, or the fire may have started due to a reason caused by the truck. It's unclear what happened. We'll find out later. General Motors estimated that the UAW strike has cost the company $200 million so far. GM is basing the $200 million cost figure on lost vehicle production from 2 of the 3 GM assembly plants affected by the strike. This 40-ton Mercedes-Benz electric truck just drove 1,000 kilometers, so about 620 miles, with only one stop to charge. It was a run across the Alps, so it was not exactly the easiest of the roads. The vehicle is expected to go into production in 2024. All right, Elon replied with a laughing emoji to this, so now I have to comment about this. Omar says, "Step aside, Jim Cramer." Not too long ago, very recently actually, on October 2nd, so super recently, Chicken Genius said, "This is your weekly reminder that Rivian will outperform Tesla stock." Here's the weekly chart of Tesla stock. You can see it is up. And here is Rivian. It was down over 20% yesterday. And he does not step back. He doubles down. This is your daily reminder that Rivian stock will outperform Tesla stock on most days. Rivian stock will go to $50 before Tesla stock hits $500, he says. Tesla just posted that improved camera quality is now rolling out via over-the-air update. Herbert says, for those focusing on Tesla's price cuts, please spend a minute looking at the graphs below. The cuts just bring the prices back where they were upon launch. Now that Tesla cars are lower priced than average sales price, this is the time to advertise, which they will do, so relax. You can see how Model Y pricing has changed over time. Now they are basically back where we were. And same goes for the Model 3 pretty much as well. Now we did have some inflation, but also EVs overall are supposed to get cheaper because of economies of scale and improved battery costs. Tesla also appears to be protecting the consumer from increasing interest rates. Model Y long-range estimated monthly payments are here. with a 20% down payment in 2019. It was about $830, and in 2023, it is $840 something dollars. So slightly higher, but not by much. These numbers are based on 4.7 and 7.5% interest rates. And if we inflation adjust the Model Y prices, this is what we get. Well, this is surprising. Tesla raised prices of the Model Y in Sweden by up to $1,400. This will seriously confuse many people, but I think this could be partially because the Giga Shanghai made Model Ys are updated and the ones that are made in Giga Berlin have not been updated yet. So possibly this price increase is maybe related to that. I just went to Tesla's website in Sweden and you can see that this Model Y, yeah, definitely has not been updated yet. And Giga Berlin can only make so many of them. So I expect this price change to be quite temporary. I would expect prices to go down later. All right, this is good. Tesla starts hiring for the semi-factory expansion. It has been a while since we have heard about the expansion, so this is good news. Jeff also says that if the target is still 20% margins for Tesla, then on a $2,000 price drop, they just need a $400 reduction in cost of goods sold in a quarter to hold gross margin. And probably between suppliers, commodities, Giga castings and everything, Tesla is targeting 2 to 4x that, he says. Now, if Jeff's numbers don't make sense, keep in mind that Tesla only cut prices in the US and not worldwide. SEC takes legal action to compel Elon Musk's testimony in Twitter Stock Purchase Pro. According to the SEC, Musk did not comply with a subpoena to testify in September, and the agency is now seeking legal action to force his cooperation. The SEC is examining whether any individuals involved in the Twitter stock transactions committed securities fraud. Despite multiple attempts to schedule a meeting with Musk, including offering to meet near his current residence in Texas, Musk has consistently declined to appear for testimony. Musk's attorney argues that the SEC has already taken Musk's testimony multiple times during this investigation and believes that it has become excessive. Additionally, Musk had initially raised objections, including the location of the testimony, but later agreed to an interview. However, he ultimately refused to meet at all. Matt Smith here has an interesting point. The resistance to advertising reminds me of the story from Walter's book about Elon Musk insisting that the Gen 3 platform be designed without a steering wheel. It makes sense in the long term and could be viewed as a sort of burn the ship strategy, which really motivates the team to solve autonomy. But he is glad, says Matt, that France was able to argue for a compromise that would avoid an extremely costly design flaw in the event that Elon's timeline proves too optimistic. There was also this post to which he replied by saying, "Cool feedback, thanks. That feedback said you're not France, so shut up." Gary Black says, "I'm reducing my Tesla adjusted earnings per share and price target to $300 to reflect price cuts taken on the Model 3 and Y last night and increased risks of further price cuts. I expect Wall Street to cut 2024 and 2025 estimates by 5 to 8% after earnings. Price cuts taken year to date have so far been relatively impotent with demand elasticity near zero," he says. Gary also reduced his 2024 delivery assumptions to 39% year over year. Previously, at least as of July, he was at 47% year over year growth in terms of deliveries. Gary says that my forecast for Tesla auto gross margins now bottoms in Q4 at 16.6%. Before rebounding in 2024 behind Cybertruck and Model 3 Highland. Tesla's setup into Q3 earnings remains compelling since Elon can talk about Cybertruck, Model 3 refresh, FSD progress, 40 to 50% production growth, and Model Y affordability. If there's any hint that 1, 2024 volume growth will be above the consensus that the street has, which is at 25% year over year growth, and 2, auto gross margins bottoming at about 17%. Gary says either one of these would be huge. Morgan Stanley just released a new note. The adoption curve of autonomous cars will depend on a range of technological, legal, regulatory, and even moral and ethical factors. But facts and events do change, and so too must an analyst's views. While many obstacles remain, we believe that robotaxi will ultimately have its moment. Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything about Morgan Stanley changing their price target, so I assume they looked at these price cuts and they said, okay, Tesla stock is still going to $400 per share in the next 12 months. And I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters. I'm about to publish a video exclusively for my Patreons about one of the biggest Tesla stock investing mistakes I think many investors actually make. By joining my Patreon, you will get access to how much I think it is fair to pay per Tesla share each year between 2023 and 2033. If you sign up for the investor tier of support, you will also get my valuation model of Tesla stock with a 45-minute video walkthrough. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching that discussion about the future with Elon Musk, watch this one first. My name is Matt Posius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.